Welcome back to the Retirement Resource. I'm your host, Beau Henderson, and I'm committed to be bringing value every week to help you navigate the often complicated world of retirement and retirement planning. And we started this Masterclass series last week, and we're talking to our good friend, Don Graves, 20-year industry expert in reverse mortgages, adjunct professor for the American College of Financial Services, and the resource for me, my clients, the people that listen and view when they have questions on this often misunderstood and very powerful aspect of retirement planning. And one of the things when we're talking about reverse mortgages, I find it's like so many components of successful planning is knowledge truly is power. You've got to dig below the surface. You've got to understand. And then when you understand, we can model, and then we can make better decisions. So Don Graves, you hear me already getting fired up. Welcome back.
You are fired up. Hey, Paul. Good to see you, buddy.
So we gave some good basics on our last show about just getting our heads a little bit around reverse mortgages, what they are, why people would use them. Mm-hmm. We started talking today about the importance of having access to cash in retirement. And I think that's where we're going to pick up.
Yeah, excellent. All right, where do you want to go?
Well, let's talk about this idea of a line of credit. I get a lot of questions about the reverse mortgage and a line of credit, the reverse mortgage line of credit. Why is that important?
When you retire, most people, there's uncertainty, Beau. One tweet, one text, one cough, one sneeze could change everything today. So you talk to someone retiring today, you say, well, how long are you going to live? I don't know. Are you going to have enough money to live that long? I'm not sure. Would it be okay if you had extra money in case you ever needed it? Would that be okay to have a safety net, a reserve? Now, most people would say, yes, I'd like to see what that looks like. So the reverse mortgage, one of the things that a lot of people, the late night commercials, when these first came out, now mind you, Beau, we've got 32 years of the federally insured program. 32 years is a long time. And so a lot of folks say, they've been around that long. I've been doing it 21 years. Right. And so 32 years is a long time. And so if I say to a retiree, is having access to money important to you in retirement? Yes. Is having access to tax-free money important to you? Yes. That's called liquidity. So one of the ways a reverse mortgage can be taken, a lump sum, we talked about that, monthly payments, or a line of credit. That's by far the most popular way the reverse mortgage is taken. Typically, I should say this, paying off an existing mortgage or home equity loan is a lump sum, and then leaving the rest in the line of credit. Now, why is that important? Because a reverse mortgage line of credit is very different than a traditional bank line of credit. If you and I go out and get a line of credit, the bank's going to check our credit and assets and say, okay, you have access to a $100,000 line of credit. And typically, let's say, how long do I have access to it? And they'll say, you have a 10-year draw period. So I could draw out from that money over 10 years, make an interest-only payment, manage my costs, manage my cash flow. But in year number 10, that ends. And so the draw period's over, it's fully amortized, and I've got to make a payment. And so that's fine for me. I can refinance, I can do it all over again. What happens when you get to retirement? What happens when you get to a fixed income? Is there a line of credit that makes more sense for a retiree than someone who's currently employed? Yes, it's not a HELOC, it's a RELOC, a retiree's line of credit or a reverse mortgage line of credit. So a reverse mortgage line of credit allows the retiree to access dollars from the house. Today, a 65-year-old is getting about 40, 45%, I think, and I forgot what I said. So interest rates went down. So let's say you're 70 years old, you've got a $400,000 house, and you get $200,000 out of that. Well, Don, I could have gotten that from my traditional bank. Yes, you could. And so if you needed to access $50,000, what's going to happen from a traditional bank? Well, I have to start making a payment, all right? And in 10 years, what's going to happen then? Well, either it's going to close, but I've got to start making full payments. I said, what if you could access $200,000 in the retiree's line of credit, a RELOC? And if you never used it, 10 years from now, it went from 200,000 to 300,000. He said, what do you think? I said, it has a built-in guaranteed minimum growth factor, cannot be frozen, cannot be canceled, cannot be reduced as long as you're meeting the requirements of the program. I said, would that be beneficial to you? So I had a client today. They called, his advisor said, talk to this guy. He had a home in Utah, $583,000. His line of credit was going to be nearly $300,000. And so I showed him at age 85, which was 21 years from now, at age 85, that $300,000 line of credit, I think, was $641,000 or something like that.
Okay.
And the question was, how would that be valuable to you? Well, his mind just went racing. He says, well, Don, I could have this money for that. At any point, I could use it for that. So in the book, Beau, I could read a few things that stop me, but I've got some ways the line of credit can be used here to replace a home equity line of credit. Well, this man already had a home equity line of credit. He was replacing it. Okay. Inflation protection. If the reverse mortgage line of credit is growing at 4.5%, 5%, that's greater than inflation. And Beau, you as an advisor know you need to have a portion of your assets that at least keep pace with inflation. A lot of times we're not seeing that. Protection against the declining home values or property values. So Don, I could have a line of credit and you're telling me it could be $300,000 or $400,000. What if my house goes down? It's only worth $300,000. I've got a $400,000 line of credit. I said, you're the winner. You're the hero. You hit the lottery. Protect your portfolio. Here's just really a big example. I've looked at my emails going out tomorrow, Beau, and just last night I was writing up some things. And here's a question that I ask your listeners. If we could use your home to create a backup plan for market risk and volatility, would you want to see how that works? I'll say it again. If we could use your home to create a backup plan for market risk and volatility, would you want to see how that works? I imagine most people would say yes. Yes, in light of coronavirus and all, yes, I'd like to see. Because what do you have now for a backup plan for risk and volatility? Well, there's several things. Would it make sense to have a conversation about how to turn your home into that? Well, then what happens if the market goes down and you need money? You don't have to take it from your investments. Right. You could take it from your housing wealth. If the market comes back, you can put that money back in your line of credit and use it another day. And we demonstrate and prove, the folk at the American College, Texas Tech, MIT, Center for Retirement Research at Boston College, all these wrote papers that said, if you use a reverse mortgage in that way, you almost double the probability of portfolio success in doing that. Well, that's strategic. That's absolutely strategic. And Roth conversions, here's just, and I'll stop on that example, that there's some of your listeners that says, why would I need a reverse mortgage? Fella said, I've got $1.2 million, Don. I said, you probably don't. I said, but let me ask you a question. How many children? Are you going to use all that 1.2? He says, no, I'm probably going to leave $1 million to my 2 children. I said, okay. So that means 2 children are going to get $1 million and they have to spend that typically in about 10 years with the new rules, unless you do something special. I said, do you think they would appreciate it if somehow you could turn that $1 million into tax-free money? Mm-hmm. And they said, well, how would I do that? I said, we can model a Roth conversion over a period of time, 10, 15, 20 years, using this reverse mortgage line of credit and its growth. Remember, it's growing. We'll use the growth to pay the taxes. That over 10 or 15 years, we've converted this money into tax-free money that it passes on to your children, tax-free without impacting them. I said, now, that's leaving a legacy. You said you're going to leave it to them anyway. Why don't we leave it to them as tax efficiently as we can? So, Beau, let me stop talking because I can just go on and on about this. But the Financial Regulatory Authority, FINRA, had a statement that says you should only use reverse mortgages as a last resort. Right. People say, ooh, that. But they changed that position. And you know why they changed it? Because someone challenged them and showed them what the line of credit could do. And FINRA removed their last resort language in 2013.
Right.
So the reverse mortgage line of credit is a powerful tool that should be incorporated with your other retirement assets to see if it can enhance your retirement outcomes.
And I think what you just said nailed it for me, Don. It's a tool. It's another tool we have at our disposal to do the best we can, right? I mean, you just talking about that, I'm just strategy. That's, you hear me talk for 10 minutes, I say strategy 100 times.
Mm-hmm.
That idea, one of the biggest mistakes I run across in retirement planning is people end up at some point or another, whether it's from an RMD or from just the allocation of their portfolio, they take retirement income at a loss. I love that example. Hey, this could be another tool that, hey, in those down years in the market, we've got our backup, then we can replenish it in good years. I mean, just let's do that extra work it takes up front to have the plan to give us a better result for the rest of our lives. And again, just another tool, and I think you're nailing it. So we've been talking with Don Graves here about the retirement line of credit, the relock, and everything you need to know about that. And I think you've given us some good ideas. And the way I like to think about it, Don, is maybe we talked about something that applies to you or your situation. Maybe that's something just to make a note about. Hey, I want to research that idea of the Roth conversion strategy. And that's a good start. Did we give a good idea to look forward, to look further into, increase our retirement IQ, and have information to make better decisions? So, hey, I love this. Just this one concept here, I can see so many applications and potential to solve problems and attain goals. So thanks so much for this one.
Well, absolutely, Beau. Listen, let me end with this. I asked a person, I said, if your local banker, someone you knew, came to your home and said, hey, someone died, and in their will, they left you the key to their safe deposit box. And you knew the banker, you didn't know the person, but here's the banker with a will and a key to someone's safe deposit box. Here's my question. Would you go into the bank and open it? Absolutely.
Right.
Who wouldn't do that? Even if there's nothing in there, you'd at least want to see. Well, 87% of retirees are sitting on their safe deposit box.
Right.
Don't you want to know what's in there?
Right.
Understanding and getting and we do this, it only takes us 2 or 3 minutes, but talk to your advisor, reach out and say, I'd like to see what I have in this home, whether I use it or not. Don, you're telling me that this home could be getting 3, 4, 5% growth? Yes. And I can use that to offset and do all these things. Yeah, there are about 30 things of 42.
All right.
Wouldn't you open it? Wouldn't you want to see what's in there, whether you use it or not? And then when you get it, just put that in your important documents file. File it away and say, hey, I'm sitting on this. So, Beau, let me stop there. I'm excited for our next session.
Let's keep going. I just want to remind our viewers, our listeners, we're talking to Don Graves, author of the Retiree's Guide to Housing Wealth. Mm-hmm. I know it's available on Amazon. Check it out. It's, again, we talk about puzzle pieces. Your housing wealth is a puzzle piece, and everybody has a different puzzle, right? Some people have pensions, some people have IRAs and 401ks, some people have properties, some people, everybody has different expenses. And this is another tool, a piece of the puzzle that everybody I've ever talked to, Don, says they want to take what they have and do the best they can with it. I've never had one person say, I don't want to do the best I possibly can. Again, this is just another tool to work with to maybe put this puzzle together the best way possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if you go to the doctor and you've got something wrong with you, do you want him to present to you all viable treatment options?
Right.
The answer is yes. If most of people's wealth, this fellow I said earlier had a $583,000 home, and I said to him, you realize that you've got a $600,000 IRA. Your home is almost as much as your IRA. Doesn't it make sense to see what treatment options we can get out of this if we can, whether you use it or not, because it might not be the right fit, right solution.
Right.
But I believe it's the right conversation to have.
At least you'll know.
At least you'll know.
and you'll never look back and wonder. So we've had a great conversation. The retirement line of credit, RELOC. I love that. Sounds cool. So everything you need to know about the RELOC. This was a good bite. I'm going to chew on this one for a while, Don. But as we move towards our next conversation, what do you think's the next logical place to go when we get back together?
More than 50% of baby boomers and retirees are coming into retirement with some sort of mortgage or home equity loan payment. And what would happen? What would retirement be like if you didn't have to make that monthly loan payment? Or, since you're already making a payment, if you had the choice to move that payment from mandatory to voluntary, would you want to know how? That's what we're going to talk about next time.
Hey, taking a mortgage into retirement, the right thing, the wrong thing, what are my options? Sounds like an exciting topic.
Yes,
Again, I've been talking with Don Graves, the Reverse Mortgage Authority, author of the Retiree's Guide to Housing Wealth, good friend here on the Retirement Resource. And we'll see you next time for this edition of the Masterclass, Understanding and Maximizing Reverse Mortgages. See you next time.